Hello, everyone. I want to thank Schwarzkopf Foundation and European Youth Forum for the opportunity to be in the company of the Young Europeans of the Year and for being here today among you. My name is Alexandru Manda, and at the age of 14, I decided to get up from the school bench, speak for those who are not listened to, and fight for what, at the time, I was not fully aware of, is my dream. As a citizen of the great European family, I dream of the time when the social and economic gaps between countries and communities will be gone, and every child of Europe will have access to a qualitative and free of cost and fees educational system, from the Black Sea and Ural Mountains to Cape Roca, and from the southern regions of Mediterranean Sea to the North Cape. I saw with my own eyes, as a citizen and as an activist for educational justice, how young people with potential but without material possibilities dropped out of school and lost themselves. And this is only because the state was not there for them, because they were forgotten and ignored, because they were left behind. Each of the young people who left school early, a number in the authorities' sheets, is viewed individually a tragedy. Every citizen, regardless of ethnicity, religion, background, or their family welfare, deserves to have access to quality education and not to be condemned a priori to poverty and underdevelopment. I started as a school student representative in my hometown, Constanța, where I founded the first independent school students association in Romania. And now I'm the programs coordinator at the Romanian Academic Society, the oldest think tank in the country, where I try to increase the degree of accountability of public authorities when it comes to governance and education. The most important victory is not that me and my colleagues, while we were only in high school at that time, forced the authorities to assure the respect of school students' rights provided by the law of education, but violated by the ministry or city halls. Rights that include free textbooks for all the school students in Romania, discount on public transport, or social scholarships. Not even the fact that in 2020, the fundamental right to merit and social scholarships was violated by 95% of Romanian city halls. And after the actions and campaigns I had the honor to coordinate in 2021, the government allocated over 110 million euros in order that this fundamental right to be respected for every school student. The most important victory is the fact that me and my colleagues proved that school students and young people can make a change in their community and that their involvement is the key for a sustainable development and for a better society. For me, a 22-year-old boy from the Black Sea coast of Romania, the news of winning this award was overwhelming. When I received Esther's phone call from the Schwarzkopf Foundation, my first reaction was to sit down and think about all the moments of the last 8 years crowned by today's distinction. I accept this award with deep gratitude and great humility on behalf of all the people with whom I have fought in the last 8 years for the desire that each child to be treated as an individual with a specific name and needs, not as a column in a table. Every child should have free access to quality education and not to be left behind. Without the teams I worked with, none of the results would be a reality. I'm thankful, and I dedicate this award to all the people who in the last 8 years have chosen to believe in me and in my struggle. From parents, family, and friends to colleagues I have worked with, youth and education organizations, people of press, and other people with common values, visions, and desideratum. All people with whom I built advocacy campaigns or who helped me with good advice or kind words. I also dedicate this award to my maternal grandparents, survivors of the Roma Holocaust. I grew up with stories of my grandparents of the experience of their deportation in the concentration camps of Transnistria, and remembering their abnegation and their power to hope motivate me in every day of my life, and especially in the work field as an activist for a better educational system. It is the duty of all of us to remember what happened in the dark days of the Second World War and not let humanity to see this dark face again, full of man's hatred of another man only because his ethnicity, skin color, or religion is different. As St. Paul once said to the Romans, let us not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Therefore, one of the most important missions of the European Union is to assure that as many children as possible will have access to a qualitative and free of cost and fees educational system. Education being the most important weapon of Europe against extremism, violence, hate speech, and discrimination. An unfair, weak, poor quality education system in one country affects all the other countries and the Union as a whole. The future of tomorrow's Europe is decided today, and the lack of education will only enhance the gaps and condemn poor communities to underdevelopment. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown us that the power to adapt is the most important skill for the 21st century. Improvise, adapt, overcome being more valid than ever. We live in a global society, which is in continuous change and with newer, more diverse and riskier threats. This is the reality for which the school must educate the citizens of tomorrow, the citizens that Europe and the whole world need. Active in community, with democratic values, respect for human rights, adaptable to change, and digitally literate. Our generation of those present here is witnessing the fourth industrial revolution. The digital revolution is a daily presence in everyone's life. We see and feel it. It adapts industrial processes and makes our lives easier. But the digital revolution also comes with a major risk, widening the gap between educated people and those without access to learning. If today the states and governments of the world do not understand the need to ensure access to education for every child, tomorrow we will have two worlds, a divided society where people who didn't have access, who didn't have the chance to participate in a qualitative educational system will be second-class citizens. But the key is in our hands. It is in our power to build the world in which we want our children to live in. It is in our power to keep the more than 70 years of peace and security in Europe. It is in our power to build a stronger, more united, prosperous, and solidary Europe. Long live Europe! Lang liebe Europa! Vive l'Europe! Trăiască Europa!